Hi, everybody. This is Janice Masters, the Shaman Mama from janicemasters.com. And I hope you will be joining me here today for this live stream about caring for your heart in turbulent times. Most of my community is comprised of people who are highly sensitive and empathic, have huge hearts, and who are affected by all kinds of energies that bombard us daily. But recently, we have had one tragedy and disaster after another to respond to. We had Hurricane Harvey in Texas, and then we had Hurricane Irma in Florida. We had the devastating earthquake in Mexico City. We have watched Hurricane Maria devastate Puerto Rico. Last night, there was carnage and devastation in Las Vegas as a gunman killed more than 50 people and wounded hundreds. And a similar situation in Edmonton, Canada. So, first thing I want to talk about is oneness, which is something that we overlook. You know, in this circle right here today, those of us who are on this live stream together and anyone who will be watching it after it's been recorded and posted on my Facebook business page and to my YouTube channel, we are all connected in a web of energy. All right, this is true of every living thing on planet Earth. We are all connected in a web of energy. It's as if we're actually reaching out and holding hands with each other. That's how connected we are. Now, ego, bless her heart, will try to convince us that we're all separate because ego's job is to preserve and protect us and keep us from being scared. But the fact of the matter is we are all connected. And so when these tragedies and disasters happen, our hearts are just cracked open. They're broken open because we feel for our human brothers and sisters. We feel for the animals who are involved in the disasters like an earthquake or a hurricane. So I'm going to talk about a couple of tips to help care for your heart in these turbulent times, which as far as I can see right now, we're probably going to be experiencing more of them. The old order is definitely crumbling away, but there is chaos in the meantime as that happens. There is a soul sickness that causes people to take military-type weaponry and kill lots of people. There are environmental disasters that seem to be caused by the way that we live on the earth. So we need to not toughen up. That's not what I'm going to suggest. Actually, the first tip that I will suggest to you is to actually let your heart be broken. The worst possible response to the tragedies and the disasters that are happening right now is to have no response at all, to not care. And I'm pretty sure that nobody listening to this particular video has that kind of response. Oh, Susan, hi. Thank you so much for being here. And Palma, thank you for being here too. So we're talking about the disasters and the atrocities that are happening and that we need to manage as our hearts get broken on seemingly a daily basis. The fact that we are all one. Sandy Parenti, thank you for being here. Hugs back to you, my dear. The fact of oneness, that we really are all connected energetically, is what makes us human. And so the first tip that I offer for caring for your heart in turbulent times is to let your heart be broken. Let yourself be open to the energies that break your heart, because that's an indication of compassion and connection and oneness with your fellow human beings. And so trying to protect ourselves from the heartbreak, as ego would do, because that's ego's job to try to protect us from anything that might feel bad, it is not helpful. So embracing our heartbreak, knowing that feeling heartbreak won't kill us, and allowing it is the first tip. The second tip is to really then listen to your heart for inspired action that you can follow. Now, sometimes we feel like there's nothing I can do. What can I do from here to Mexico? What can I do from here for Puerto Rico? What can I do from here for Las Vegas? Well, some of you know what I'm doing for Puerto Rico, and I'll talk about that later, but sometimes it isn't even that event specific. If your heart is broken open, maybe it causes you to think about the elderly gentleman who lives across the street from you and whether or not he's had lunch today. And so you make a tuna salad sandwich and an apple and some cookies and a drink, and you bring it over to him, and you see, and this actually happened, you see the tears well up in his eyes that someone thought about him. There are opportunities like that all around us every single day. You know, these tears are from an open heart. So we let our hearts be broken. Okay, once they're broken, guess what? Now they're open. And once they're open, then we have the ability to discern intuitively, because we are so massively intuitive as empaths, what the needs are in our environment. It might be a child of ours. It might be a neighbor. It might be to start something to send LED battery-operated lanterns to Puerto Rico. It might be doing something like a friend of mine is sending water filters to Mexico City for drinking water. Okay, all kinds of opportunities, but the point is, let your heart be broken. Let it stay broken open. And from that broken open state, let your heart inspire you about what to do within your environment and reaching out farther from that heart of compassion and loving kindness. Okay? And the third thing is, and this may seem counterintuitive, but it isn't at all, the third tip is to withdraw. At some point, we have to just shut it all down. We have to shut every bit of it down. We can't let in the news. We can't, oh, it looks like I'm freezing here. Hopefully not freezing. We have to shut it all down, which means don't read about it on Facebook. Certainly don't have the news on. I don't allow broadcast news on the TV into my house. And if I'm in the car and the radio is on, news comes on, I turn it off immediately, because I don't want to be affected in that way. I want to have a lot more control over what I know about and how I learn about it. So yes, withdraw and detach. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but I'll tell you a little story about a client of mine who's an empath and highly sensitive, and she's been a people-pleasing do-gooder from the day one, dancing as fast as she can to help everybody who shows up in her field of vision who needs something. And she came in the other night and she said, I realized something. Not every need that I notice is mine to fill. Not everyone who needs help is mine to help. And I practically jumped out of my chair yelling, hooray, 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 because she's absolutely right. We need a certain kind of balance, because when the helping, when the doing good is compulsive, then we're abusing ourselves. I hope you understand that. There is a balance that needs to happen. The action that we take to do good needs to be inspired, needs to be authentic, and it can't come out of, if I do this for you, maybe something good will happen for me. No, can't be bargaining that way. Okay? Sandy says, wow, yes. I know, it hits you like a ton of bricks, doesn't it? It hit her like a ton of bricks. She realized that she was stepping out of the people-pleasing and that she still had an opportunity to do good, just not every single freaking time it presented itself to her. So the other thing to remember here is that as we experience these disasters and these atrocities like the carnage in Las Vegas last night, we are thrown into grief again and again and again. And so it's important for us to give each other the reminder that it's okay to grieve. Give each other permission to mourn. So what are we mourning? Well, in the first place, we're mourning human lives. Palma says, absolutely, I make a checklist for myself so that I don't get stuck. Absolutely. I'm a great one for index cards to remind myself. Yes. So what are we mourning? We're mourning lives lost. We're mourning our own sense of safety in the world. My young cousin said, I'm supposed to go to a concert by that same guy. And Cece says, we're mourning our humanity without question. That gives me goosebumps from head to toe, Cece. My young cousin says she's supposed to go to a concert with her husband this Saturday of the same guy who was playing in Vegas. And she said, I know it's kind of crazy, but I wonder if we should go. That's mourning your loss of safety, that sense of safety. We're mourning a culture that's broken, a society that's sick. You know, I keep talking about soul sickness being the bottom line reason for these kinds of atrocities, these shooters. Palma says we're mourning our existence. Yes. We're mourning our dreams. And that is, as I remind myself and my clients all the time, the death of a dream is more excruciating than the actual loss of the thing itself sometimes. So the loss of the dream, I mean, right now we're losing the dream. We've lost the dream of what America is supposed to be. And there's huge, deep, wide grief about that. So bottom line, we're mourning and grieving the loss of our innocence. We cannot be innocent any longer in the face of what's happening. And we can't be innocent any longer in the face of what happened in Mexico City, in the face of what happened in Puerto Rico. Okay, these, to my mind, because I do believe in climate change as the result of our actions on Earth. Jessica says, yes, I've seen Jason so many times. And Chris just told me last night, oh, this makes me cry, Jess, your concert days are over. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, my husband and I have been planning a trip to Italy and Switzerland, and for so many reasons it's gotten postponed. First, it was because my dad was alive and he was ill and I wasn't going to go that far away, and then it was something else, and then it was something else. And I finally said to him, you know what? We kind of have to take the chance that, yeah, there might be an earthquake. Yeah, there might be a mudslide. Yeah, there might be a crazy shooter, but I'm not willing to give up that opportunity. And I hope that time will soften Chris's decision, Jess, about your concert days are over. Because the fourth tip that I want to offer is to look for the miracles in the midst of the chaos. That's the balancing energy. It's always shadow and light, isn't it? So we've got the shadow of these massive tragedies, either weather-wrought or human-wrought. And in the midst, there are miracles. I took umbrage at the president using the word miracle to describe what happened in Las Vegas. And yet, on the prompting of a friend of mine, I realized he was talking about the miracle of the first responders. Okay. You know, I'm just so used to a knee-jerk response to his ineptitude with language that, you know, Susan says you can't just stop living out of fear of dying. Yeah. And Cece says she was just in Mexico during the first earthquake and 2 tropical storms. Grateful she was there and she was safe. Yeah. Yeah. So in the midst of tragedy, in the midst of disaster, I mean, we had little disaster here because we got Hurricane Irma light, I like to call it, because we really got like almost nothing. We got a, Category 1, if anything. But people were sitting outside at night looking at the stars, and we really did bring lunch over to our elderly neighbor. And I gave my other neighbor one of my landline phones to use because, the list goes on. Everybody was in their humanity more fully. And partly that was because we were all detached from our devices. Nothing was working. You had no devices to go to. We had a generator, so we had lights going and refrigerators, and at night we had an air conditioning unit in the bedroom, but, that was it. So caring for your heart in turbulent times. Turbulent times aren't going to stop, And the other thing is that we have to be charged with reminding one another what to stay focused on. I get thrown so off kilter by the disasters and by the heartbreak and by the grief and by the mourning. And so we have to reach out our hands and pull one another back in to the circle of humanity and belief in the miracles and groundedness in, okay, what can I do now to help? Sandy says, my man flew into Vegas on Sunday with his Vietnam buddies. He decided to stay. He's not doing well. I miss him so. His hotel is less than a half a mile away from the tragedy. Oh my God, Sandy. No wonder he's not doing well. He's right in the center of that energy field. And you must be beside yourself as well. With gratitude, and yet with those what ifs. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, for me, I have to keep addressing this is apart from the earthquakes and the hurricanes. Cece says, yes, the chaos is intentional. I'm convinced of it. Yeah, I agree, Cece. I agree. I was just talking with Dwight about that last night, about the intention to keep us in fear, keep us in despair, keep us off balance, and then we will follow blindly like sheep. That's what they're counting on. And that's why, we have to keep reminding ourselves to stay awake, to stay intentional, to hold the vision of what we want. I keep saying, I'm not worried about what's going on in the White House, because that is not where the outcomes that I want are going to emanate from. They're going to emanate from grassroots efforts of human beings, just like myself and like all of you, working toward what we want systematically, step by step, grassroots. So we can mourn and we can grieve, but we cannot lose hope. Cannot lose hope. So, any questions, any more comments? This is a deep and broad topic, but it's one that no doubt we will keep revisiting. And I will tell you now about what I was inspired to do for Puerto Rico, and that is during Hurricane Irma, we had these D-battery operated LED lanterns that were fantastic. You could take a picture off a wall and hang the lantern right there on the hook. You could take a lantern with you when you go to the bathroom or whatever. They were wonderful. They emitted no light and they were bright, bright, bright. Cece says, I'm going to the local Vipassana Sangha every weekday morning from 6:30 to 7:30 to sit in community and practicing yoga in community to maintain hope and perspective. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm doing Qigong and meditating every morning. And I did start something which became dubbed Project Lanterns for Puerto Rico. And that is that urging people to order from Amazon these LED camping lanterns, which use D batteries that last for a good week and are so bright, it's ridiculous. Have them drop shipped to a woman in Winter Park, Florida, who has the backing of FedEx, who's giving her lots and lots of shipping credit. And she also knows a friend with a cargo plane who's flying a shipment to Puerto Rico every day. So we've got Project Lanterns going on. Another friend is doing the same with water filters. In the words of Tom Petty, we won't back down. Oh, that makes me cry too. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Jess. Loss of a beautiful soul. A beautiful soul. Hi, OJ. Hi. I'm so glad you're here, OJ. Yes, we're talking about caring for your heart during turbulent times. And so I'm just going to reiterate the tips that I've given in this very rich discussion about our humanity. And the first tip is to let your heart be broken, because that's where our humanity lives, and our ability to have our hearts broken because we care that deeply. And the second tip is to take inspired action that emanates from that compassionate, broken heart. Very important topic. Thank you. Yes, I agree. It's right on the top of my heart these days. So the inspired action could be to do what we can do about the actual tragedy or disaster, or, as I said, bring lunch to your elderly neighbor across the street and see the tears well up in his eyes because somebody cares. Susan says, if we back down, we're giving in to terrorism. Absolutely right, Susan. Yes. So the third tip is to, from time to time, simply withdraw. Shields up, detach, withdraw, no news. Can't be responsible for doing everything about everything. Can't even sometimes be responsible for doing anything about something. As empaths and sensitives, as I talked about my client earlier, her tendency was to try to meet every need that flew up in front of her. And she's learned, no, that's not mine to do. That's not mine to do. And so withdrawing is something that we must do as sensitive empaths, because we have to recoup, we have to recover, we have to flush, because we do accumulate the energies. And the grief does become heavy. Stacy, hi. Thank you for being here. I know you're in the middle of a work day. And then the last tip, as we're mourning, as we're grieving, as we're thrown off kilter, is to look for the miracles amidst the chaos, because they're always there. The human heart. Return to sender with love and consciousness attached. Yes, I love it, Cease. Yes, yes, yes. Kisses and hugs to you too, Stacy. Thank you, Sandy. Very important. Thank you. Thank you. So if you have any questions that arise after this, just comment on the thread, and I will look back here later in the day and answer as best I can. I thank you all for being here. I'm doing a live stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays on this business page, The Shaman Mama, at 12 noon Eastern. And please join me anytime you're able to. And they will still be posted on the page, and they will also be on my YouTube channel. So I thank you all so much, because without you here, there's no point in me talking about any of this stuff, talking to myself. Oh, thank you too, sweetie. Hugs back. Thank you, Susan. I so appreciate you being here and sending you extra special prayers. Cece, I love you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so grateful for you in the world and your love. Palma, thank you for being here. And thank you, Oji, too. Thank you, thank you. Okay, this is Janice Masters, the Shaman Mama, signing off for now. I'll see you on Thursday at noon. I love you all very much, and thank you so much for being here. You can find me at janicemasters.com. Bye.